you brought up if we would have sent soldiers up on Capitol Hill on January 6th, the morning of. So let's go back. I hate to do this. Let's go back. I'm going to be pedantic and talk about our high school civics class. Capitol Hill, legislative branch, military, executive branch. Capitol Hill, you don't go up there if you're the executive branch of the military unless you're invited. To do something different is called a military coup. So I was not going to be party to that, obviously, because that's un-American and in violation of my oath of office to the Constitution. So this narrative that we should have moved faster or had been up there beforehand would have been. Could you imagine what would have happened if I would have pushed National Guard troops up on Capitol Hill before the riots started?
Wow, it would have been a mess. I know the only person who got killed was Ashley Babbitt by Capitol Police Officer Michael Byrd. That was the only shot fired. Do you think that was a justifiable shot given the situation?
Well, the Protective Service detail, I don't. It appears to me that when she came through the window, that she crashed in on the security bubble, and they shot her. That was the moment when I realized we had been promised that the police in Washington, D.C. and on Capitol Hill could handle up to 1 million protesters that day. And you don't use your military for domestic law enforcement. That's what we have cops for. You don't use military. You don't use soldiers to do domestic law enforcement until civil society is broken down, like a natural disaster in New Orleans. Everything's gone to, you know what? That's when you go in there. That's when the military serves and does law enforcement duties. Until that happens, keep the military out. The military, you talked about Vietnam. Military really violated tons of American civil liberties by spying on Americans. These are the things that are
They're
going
still doing it.
Yeah. My last follow-up was going to be many people in the Trump administration decided to resign as a result of January 6th and the events following it. You chose not to. Can you tell me a little bit more about that decision?
Yeah, because I wanted to get more facts. So, I had been in combat a day or two. I'd been a leader in the military, commander in the military, and you got to be stable. You got to be steady, right? That's what good leaders do. I saw a lot of those political figures that bailed that day doing it for political reasons. I was like, we need to find out what happened. We're still finding out what happened that day. So, here's the one that always bugs me when these bigwigs talk about, well, I thought it would have been the reason I stayed is because I had to protect something. If it wasn't for me, I had to protect our soldiers. I'm not saying that. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that's my job. I got 6 weeks left or whatever it was, 4 weeks left. And what was that? Was it Thomas Paine, Sunshine Soldiers? What's that? Yeah. It's like, hey, you get paid for the good times and the bad. And you really get paid for the tough times. That's what the American people pay you for, right?
You never thought it was a coup or anything?
Dude, I was running the military. There was no coup.
Just wanted to make it clear.
Milley was right about that. Milley's like, the only way there has to come through us. There was going to be no military coup. Dude, I spent my life in service to this country, and I swore to protect and defend the Constitution. There's no way that I was going to allow, back to your point about resigning. If it came down to that, and the president was he wasn't going there. If it would have gone there, I would have resigned and gone right outside and gotten on TV and said, I resigned in protest because I was asked to do something anti-constitutional. Period. End of story. Bye. Have a nice day.
That's if he asked for you to bring troops out?
If he was going to use them inappropriately or anti-constitutionally.